If you're just joining us, the world of Marcus Hale is about to explode. I'm going to do a quick recap of Part 1. If you haven't heard the full story yet, it's waiting for you on my page. But for now, let me get you up to speed. For 6 months, Marcus Hale has been the king of Manhattan, a ruthless CEO currently orchestrating a hostile takeover of Cross Medical Group. He thought he was untouchable. He thought the man cleaning his toilets and emptying his trash was just a nobody named Vince. He was dead wrong. The dirty janitor Marcus just had dragged out of his luxury gala is actually Vincent Cross, the billionaire founder of the very company Marcus is trying to steal. After losing his beloved wife, Margaret, to cancer, Vincent didn't want a boardroom. He wanted to disappear into his grief. He took a job as a janitor at his rival's company just to keep his hands busy. But while scrubbing floors in the dark, he discovered Marcus's darkest secrets: fraud, bribery, and a plot to destroy Vincent's own daughter, Rachel. Last we saw, Vincent was humiliated, mocked for his smell and his status. He was thrown out into the rain like garbage. But Marcus didn't realize that Vincent wasn't leaving. He was waiting. For 6 months, Vincent has been the ghost in the machine, documenting every illegal move Marcus made. He didn't call the police, he didn't call the lawyers, but he sent the evidence to the only people who can truly destroy a man like Marcus, his own board of directors. The gala is still in full swing. Marcus thinks he's won, but as the board walks into the room, they aren't looking for their CEO. They are looking for the janitor. This is the final chapter of justice.
The ballroom remained standing, 300 witnesses to a total collapse. Marcus looked around at the faces of his own board, people who'd made millions off his vision. Now they stood in respect for the man he just called garbage. "This is absurd," Marcus stammered, his voice cracked. "You're all overreacting. Vincent Cross is—" "The man you tried to destroy," Webb interrupted, his voice hard as granite. "The man you tried to steal from. The man who, instead of fighting you in court, took a job as your janitor just to document your crimes from the inside." He turned to Vincent. 6 months? Vincent nodded. 6 months. "You worked here? Cleaned his office? Let him humiliate you?" "Yes." "Why?" Webb's voice cracked with a rare flash of admiration. "Why didn't you just come forward?" The voice dropped to a lower, intimate bass tone. The wisdom. Vincent looked at Marcus, then at the silent crowd. "Because I needed proof," Vincent said quietly, "and I needed him to show everyone who he really is, not the man he pretends to be in boardrooms, who he actually is when he thinks no one's watching." He gestured at the stunned crowd. "You all saw it tonight, how he treats people he thinks are beneath him, how he talks to the powerless. That is who Marcus Hale is." The crowd shifted. They had applauded, they'd laughed, they'd watched a man be insulting and done nothing. "I worked as a janitor," Vincent continued, "because my wife died 6 months ago. I didn't know how to function. I needed something simple, something physical, something that would let me stop thinking about how empty my house was." His voice broke. "I took that job to survive grief. Then I discovered Marcus was trying to steal the company my wife and I built together, our legacy." He looked directly into Marcus's eyes. "So I stayed. I watched. I listened. I documented every bribe, every threat, every illegal manipulation." Vincent pulled a small USB drive from his pocket. "Every document I photographed, every conversation I recorded, 6 months of evidence." He held it up like a weapon. "I didn't send it to the police. I sent it to your board. I wanted to see if the people who built this empire with you would protect you, or if they'd choose their integrity." Webb's face was a mask of shame and respect. "We chose integrity, Vincent. We aren't going to prison for you, Marcus." Security approached Marcus now, not Vincent, him. "Sir," one of the guards said, the same guard who'd thrown Vincent out 30 minutes earlier, "we're going to need you to come with us." The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Marcus looked at Vincent one last time. "You destroyed me." "No," Vincent replied. "You destroyed yourself. I just made sure people saw it." As security escorted Marcus out, the ballroom watched in total silence. Vincent stood in the center of it all, not triumphant, just tired. And for the first time in 6 months, not alone. The ballroom slowly came back to life. Whispered conversations, people pulling out phones. The story was spreading in real time from Manhattan to the world. Webb approached Vincent. "Mr. Cross," he said formally. Then he stopped. "I'm sorry. That sounds ridiculous under the circumstances." "Vincent." Vincent looked at him. This man had just destroyed his own CEO to protect his own name. "You did the right thing," Vincent said. "We did the bare minimum," Webb replied. "We should have caught this months ago. We trusted him because he made us rich." The other board members gathered around. Elizabeth Chen, the brilliant CFO, was the first to speak. "I met you once, 5 years ago. You gave a keynote about ethical development. You talked about valuing patience over profits, about doing the right thing, even when it was expensive." She looked ashamed. "We forgot that. All of us. We got so focused on growth that we forgot to ask if what we were doing was right." "You're asking now," Vincent said quietly. Webb cleared his throat. "Vincent, Hale Industries is in crisis. Our stock will tank tomorrow. We'll face lawsuits. We need real leadership, someone who knows how to build a company on values instead of just quarterly earnings." He paused. The weight of the request hung in the air. "Interim CEO, 6 months. Help us rebuild." Vincent's first instinct was to refuse. He was 61, grieving, exhausted. But then he thought about Margaret, about the legacy they'd built together, about second chances. "I'll think about it," Vincent said. Webb nodded. "That's all we can ask." His daughter Rachel pushed through the crowd then. She'd been fighting this battle alone while he cleaned toilets. She looked at him in his janitor uniform. She looked at the Hale board, surrounding him with respect. She looked at Marcus, being led away in handcuffs. "Dad," she said. Her voice was trembling. "What did you do?" Vincent smiled, a tired, real smile. "I took out the trash."
6 months later, Vincent Cross stood in a very different office than the one where he used to clean floors. Hale Industries headquarters, top floor, CEO's office. He'd taken the interim position. 6 months, he'd said, just to stabilize things, but it had become something more. Under Vincent's leadership, Hale Industries had transformed. They'd settled lawsuits, fired corrupt executives, rebuilt from the ground up, not as a pharmaceutical empire focused on profit, but as a healthcare company focused on patients. The stock had recovered because investors realized that ethical companies survived longer than corrupt ones. Marcus Hale, he faced federal charges. The trial would take years, but he'd never run another company again. Vincent had kept the janitor's uniform, framed it, hung it in his new office with a small plaque, "Never forget where you've been." He still wore Margaret's ring, still worn, still scratched, still a reminder that the most valuable things can't be bought. A soft, emotional piano melody swells. Rachel ran Cross Medical now, permanently. Vincent stayed on the board, but he'd started something else too, a foundation. The second shift. He hired former inmates, the homeless, people society had written off. He gave them jobs, training, and most importantly, dignity. Because Vincent had learned something while pushing that mop cart. Invisibility isn't about being unseen, it's about who's bothering to look. People had walked past him for half a year, not because he was disguised, but because they chose not to see him. The world needs more people who see janitors, not as invisible, but as human, Vincent told his daughter. One afternoon, Harrison Webb entered his office. "I'm retiring," Webb said, "but before I go, I wanted to say something. What you did, working as a janitor, it was brilliant, but it was also devastating to watch." Webb sat down, his voice cracking. "You spent 6 months being humiliated while grieving your wife. I don't know if I could have had that much patience, that much control." Vincent was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I didn't do it for revenge. I did it for Margaret." "Your wife?" "She always said that character is what you do when no one's watching. When you have power and no one can stop you, that's when you reveal who you really are." Vincent looked at the framed uniform on his wall. Marcus had power. No one could stop him, so he revealed himself. Cruelty, greed. He looked at Webb. "I wanted everyone to see it, to understand that the man they were applauding wasn't generous, he was just rich." Webb nodded slowly. "You taught us something important, Vincent, that the people we don't see are the ones seeing everything." After Webb left, Vincent stood at his window, looking out at the city below, thinking about Margaret, about second chances, and about a lesson he'd learned the hard way. A person's worth isn't measured by the floor they work on. It's measured by how they treat the people cleaning it. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button. Beat. We post stories like this every week, stories about justice, dignity, and the people who refuse to stay invisible. We want to hear from you in the comments. Drop a green heart if you'd have the patience to do what Vincent did, or drop a red heart if you think 6 months was too long for justice. Share this video with someone who needs to be reminded your worth is never determined by your job title. Coming up next, the housekeeper they mocked at dinner, who turned out to be the restaurant owner. You won't want to miss how she handles the reveal. Thanks for watching. Until next time, remember, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Treat them accordingly.